Question: why does my kid lie to me? Well, what are you doing to encourage him to lie? What do you punish him for? He's probably lying to you to avoid being punished. What do you disapprove of? He's probably lying to you to avoid things you disapprove of, and also to say more things and express more opinions and emphasize more stuff that you do approve of. He's probably trying to please you. Have you set an example where you lie about things? Do you lie about anything ever? I bet you do. Maybe he's picked up lying as part of how life is from you. And not just from you, but from everyone else he meets ever. From every TV show he watches, lying is treated as normal. It's just part of the sort of social milieu of what people do. People lie to try not to hurt someone's feelings. They lie because it seems convenient. They lie because something's embarrassing. Why do you want your kid to stop lying? Do you actually want your kid to stop lying? Do you want him to be brutally honest about everything at all times to everyone? Do you want him to say, hey grandma, I didn't like that present. I really would have preferred cash. Do you want him to tell you every time he doesn't like something you cooked and thinks it tastes bad? Do you want to hear that? Do you want to be corrected and have the opportunity to improve your cooking as dictated by your kid's tastes? Will you respect his tastes and his food preferences and his opinions? Or will you say, like, he hasn't developed his tastes and my cooking's great? And will you say, I'm eating it, why is he so picky? Are you going to appreciate honest feedback, or are you going to be upset by it or dislike it? Even if you can avoid, yelling at him over it, will you be mildly displeased and treat him slightly, marginally worse? Be slightly less helpful and less smiley and less enthusiastic and patient and so on? Because kids pick up on very subtle differences in parental behavior. It makes a difference in their life if their parent is marginally more patient and willing to answer questions versus slightly more stressed out and less helpful. Because that stuff matters to the kid's life, he pays attention to it and he starts noticing, what things he shouldn't say to his parent, because his parent, it makes his own life worse when he says those things to his parent. And you have to think, are you always on your kid's side? Do you have his interests at heart? Your first reaction is probably yes, of course. But let's think it over a little. What if your kid wants to binge watch more Netflix and he wants to figure out how to remove other things from his schedule, such as going outside, in order to watch more Netflix, and how to organize his life that way? He's like, all right, where can I cut unnecessary things out, like baths and brushing my teeth, in order to have more time for Netflix? I really like Netflix. I want to watch more of it. If that's your kid's goal and he honestly tells you that, are you going to be helpful? Are you going to say, okay, well, if that's what you're interested in, here's some, tips for accomplishing what you want? Or are you just going to try to talk him out of it? Are you going to try to stop him? Is you knowing what he wants going to make it actually harder for him to get what he wants? Conceivably, you could talk him out of it in a good way where he appreciates it and is like, oh, wow, I didn't think of it that way. Now that I see that perspective, this other thing would be better. I want to change my mind. But a lot of ways parents talk kids out of stuff isn't like that. Like, the kid doesn't really appreciate it. The parent talks the kid out of it, and the kid doesn't know how to argue back, but he's not fully convinced. And the parent sees the kid sees the parent has some good points, but that's different than being fully convinced. And so sort of at best the parent gets the kid to compromise, rather than getting him really excited for the new option. It's just thoroughly, strictly better. So if your kid has bad experiences with you where he tells you what he wants and then you don't help him get it, then you shouldn't expect him to tell you all the stuff he wants, or to be honest with you when you ask questions. He's going to look out for his own interests, and it's up to him to figure out which are the things he thinks you will help him with and which are the things he thinks you will not help him with. And then to only tell you the ones he thinks you'll be helpful about. And just the very fact that he has to make that distinction and think about it, and it's an important part of his life to distinguish those two things, is a big deal. that affects your relationship with him. Do you think it's your job as a parent to decide what the outcomes should be and guide your kid to your predetermined outcomes? Or do you think it's your job to be a helper who helps enable the kid? Kids aren't independent. They're not ready to be adults. So, there's two sort of choices about what to do about that. You can say, well, this is what an adult's like. You're going to have to become this, whether you like it or not. And then after that, you can make your own choices, think for yourself, have preferences, etc., which you're not used to doing at all. We're not going to prepare you for adult life. We're going to treat you like a kid, and then somehow you're going to make him an adult. Or do you say, okay, the kid needs lots of advice and, explanations and stuff, but his life is his own, and the parent's job is to help him. The parent is fundamentally not in charge of the kid's life. If you think that you should be the final say in your kid's life, of course he's going to lie to you a lot to try to protect his own control over his life. But if you fundamentally see yourself as a helper, an enabler, who's going to help him not just, do what he wants, but also understand what to want and all kinds of things, understand how to think about life. But still, fundamentally, it's his choice how to see things, and you have to convince him instead of just tell him what to do. If you see it that way, your kid's going to have way less reason to lie to you. If you're genuinely on his side and helping support him with his opinions, which you respect, then he's not going to lie to you a lot because he doesn't have a reason to.